so much. Hi, Bolaji.
Hi everyone. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Just drop a reaction, so I'm sure everybody can hear me. Yes, I can see lots of people in the class today. Um, Great to have you here. I mean, you guys can be spending your Saturday anywhere. Today is supposed to be Saturday. You guys are supposed to listen. Great to have you guys here. So we don't spend too much time. So I'll just get straight into it. Let me know if you guys can see me and you can also hear me clearly once again before I share my screen. Okay, great. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now, and you guys should let me know when you can see it. I'm sharing my screen now. Can you guys see it? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So what we are talking about today, today is simply going to be an introductory session into GTM engineering. So GTM stands for go-to-market. So we are going to be talking about go-to-market engineering today. So I'm going to be your facilitator today. So my name is Bolaji Anikoshe. Once again, great to have you guys here. So some housekeeping rules before we go into like the session proper. The session is currently being recorded, so everyone can expect like a replay link after the session. Please turn off your videos. I mean, apart from myself, turn off your video so others don't get distracted. Please mute your mic if you are not speaking, so we don't hear like funny background noises. And if you have any question as the session proceeds, please drop them in the chats. Definitely going to pick them up as we proceed in the session. Yep. So today, here's how this session is going to be structured. So I'll try to keep to time. So you're supposed to spend 1 hour, 30 minutes. So in the first 40 minutes, what I'll do is introduce the concept of GTM engineering to everyone, try to break it down so everyone gets like what's GTM engineering all about. So then what we'll try to do is we'll also try to build a live workflow. So you can also like see what that looks like in real time. So then we like spend like the final minutes of like the session doing a lot of Q&A. I can assume that lots of people in this session have questions and we'll try to answer them as much as possible. So let's get into it. So who am I? Once again, I'm Bolaji Anikoshe. So for the past, spent over 5 years now. Pretty much most of my career I've been working in marketing and growth. So, and I've had the opportunity to work at a number of startups and companies across the world, across the US markets, across the Canadian markets, European markets, and even like the African markets. I've worked with like a number of African startups, with both YC and Texas backed. So I've seen, I'll say for the most part of my career also too, I've primarily worked at B2B companies. I've also worked at B2C companies for sure. I worked at fintech companies, but for the most part, I worked at B2B companies. So I've seen what works and what doesn't work, and pretty much also seen how marketing and growth has evolved over the years. So, and I'm also a graduate. Interestingly, one of the things I did last year was attended a GTM engineering school, the Pioneer cohort. So I was one of the graduates of that Pioneer cohort, and at the engineering school, GTM engineering school, I was opportunity to be taught by GTM engineering leaders from Clay, companies like Clay, Lemlist, Octave, Aops, Cargo. It was really like a beautiful session for me. So if you guys are looking to connect with me, LinkedIn is one of the best places to connect with me. You can also connect with me on Twitter, X, yeah. So and that's my name on LinkedIn. That's also like my handle on Twitter. So yeah, looking forward to also like post this session, looking to like connect with a lot of people. Just before I go into like the session proper, please everyone just drop like a reaction so I know everyone is following, and you guys can also hear and see me clearly. Awesome, 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 awesome. I can see a lot of reaction. So what's GTM engineering? I know that's like that's possibly going to be like the number one question on everybody's mind. What exactly is GTM engineering? So like I mentioned earlier, GTM stands for go-to-market. So I assume most of us here, we come from like, we probably already have some form of experience in marketing, sales, whatever the field is. So you have some sense of what go-to-market is. So go-to-market is essentially everything that involves, like you said, going to market, taking a product to market, or you just build a tech product. The product is not going to sell itself. You need to take it to market so it can get into the hand of the customer. Then you make money. Then that whole cycle continues. Because at the end of the day, you don't build products just to let them see it on your laptop or your machine. The essence of building products is to get them in the hands of customer and get them to use it. So so go-to-market engineering is essentially a term that was coined by Clay. So Clay is essentially go-to-market data company. So they pioneered the term go-to-market engineering in 2023. Shout out to this is a story I heard firsthand from Yash. So Yash is if you trace the history of go-to-market engineering, Yash is the first GTM engineer because I mean he coined the word, and what he was doing at Clay at the time was kind of like what evolved into what we now call GTM engineering. And essentially what it means is every form of revenue generating system that you build in your company, any form of system of workflow or process that you leverage to generate revenue in your company, you essentially just use AI, artificial intelligence, automation, and creative problem solving to accelerate that process, or kind of like even build it from scratch. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of like what GTM engineering is. So a form of a revenue generating process could be, say you run, what's it called? Let me use a company I know most people probably familiar with. So let's say you work at Piggyvest. Piggyvest is a B2C company. So the way Piggyvest is going to make money, probably make money is, they need to acquire lots of customers. In this case, that's like users. So how do they do that? They probably need to run ads to be able to get their products in the faces of people. So they run ads, they get people to sign up. When they sign up to the product, they activate them. So if you guys are familiar with like the whole Pirate metrics funnel, so they also like follow that funnel. They acquire customers, they activate them into users, they get them to deposit money, and they keep them just now like the retention side of things. So they get them to keep coming back every month. Whenever you salary hits your accounts, get them to come back to keep depositing money. So that's like the whole loop, the entire flywheel of Piggyvest making money. So Piggyvest probably makes money by whatever money people deposit into their wallets, or as the case may be, they probably take that money, they invest it, they get their money. So thinking about that whole system, GTM engineering in this context can be, so we run ads, how can we accelerate the process of what's it called, of running ads faster? So it could be we build a lot of creatives. How can we accelerate that to ensure it's faster? And AI right now makes that whole process seamless. In a nutshell, at a B2C company, that's what GTM engineering is going to look like. I think as we also go further into like the session, I'll give more context around, say, B2B, for example. So yeah, so what are the 4 pillars of go-to-market engineering? So for every person that calls themselves a go-to-market engineer, or if you don't call yourself a go-to-market engineer, or probably you already leverage all of these pillars, and you're already doing something similar to that. So, and the first part of it is clean data foundation. Super important, because you can't do, the whole premise of GTM engineering is on the basis of clean data, data that is actionable. So Clay as a company that coined GTM engineering, I mean, they're essentially a data company. So it makes sense that clean data is one of the major pillars of go-to-market engineering. So, and data can come in various forms. So data can be what you already have in your CRM, for example. Could be for those of us that work at product-led companies, it could be what you have in like your mix panel. It could be what you already have in your amplitude. It could be in any of these tools, and it could be data that you're also like sourcing using like tools. So we'll probably get to the tools part. So clean data is very important because if you don't have clean data, if you have bad data, everything just falls. It comes crushing down. So another major pillar is signals and triggers. So one of the things you want to do, especially when you're leading like go-to-market engineering efforts, is you want to ensure all your workflows, all your messaging, they are timely, they are relevant, and they are personalized. And one of the ways you ensure this is leveraging signals. One of the ways you ensure this is leveraging signals. So signals, example of signals could be funding. A company just raised funding, say they raised Series A funding. And in OpenAI, for example, they raised funding. I think they announced yesterday or the first day. So that's like a signal. So if you are a company that targets like enterprise level company, that's like a thing that you can leverage. Another signal could be job changes. Say somebody within a company, just say like an end of engineering, just assumed like a CTO. That's an example of signals. So, and there are multiple signals. It comes down into like first party data signals. You have like your second party data signal, and you have like your third party. So we'll probably talk more as we also like proceeding to like the session. So another major pillar is composable modular workflows. So I think this is very, very, very important. Because when you think about engineering, the concept of engineering itself, because when you think about like your car is also like it's a work of engineering. When you think about like software, it's a work of engineering. So at the very fundamental of engineering is building modules, the modular approach to building things. So let me break this down for that. So if you think about your car, for example, the car wasn't built as a full unit. It's broken into modules. That's why you see when you think of like your car, you see like the engine, you see like the body parts, you see like that's why even when you have like your car, you see that there are like specific people that say, oh, they work on the AC. You say, go and meet the AC guy. You see, like, what's it called? The gear. There's a specific person working on the gear. So, and there's even like the electrical parts of the car, which in Lagos and in Nigeria, they call them the wire people. They work on like the electrical parts. So, and that's like the concept of breaking the entire one system, which is like the car, into multiple modules. So, as a GTM engineer, that's kind of like how you want to think about like your what's it called? Your systems that are going to be building. You want to break them into modules. So it's whenever you want to say you want to ship like version 2 of that particular workflow or GTM system, you're able to just, oh, I'm just updating like this particular module of the system. So that's how you want to think about GTM engineering or wherever you're going to be building as a GTM engineer. So break your systems like modules. You connect, say you have like a module for data enrichment, you have like one for engagement, you then stitch everything together to then form like a full unit of a GTM system. So just to be sure everyone is following me, please drop some form of reaction and also like, yeah, just to be sure everyone is following. Okay, great. So yeah, another aspect of what's it called, of major pillar of go-to-market engineering is tight feedback loops. So one of the things that, I mean, as I check like this stats, most of us come from like a marketing background. You know, one of the things we do a lot as a marketing person is you experiment a lot. So, and for every cycle of your experimentation, you get like results, you get data. So what you want to do is you measure, you iterate on based on that data, and you deploy fast. So, and it kind of like still ties back to what I talked about in the modular workflows, because when you get new data, for example, let's say you've been building with particular signal, and you found like a new signal that could scale like your workflow. So what you want to do is you iterate based on that new data you found, and you're not building from scratch. You're iterating like your existing modules already. So let me know, everyone, let me know if that's clear and if anything is unclear. Someone says they can't see the presentation. Please, can everybody see the presentation just to be sure? Yes, so you might want to you might want to maybe leave the session and join back because everyone else can see it. So let's proceed. So that we are not also like so we don't break the okay. So for the tight feedback loops, so it's essentially you being able to take learnings from whatever workflows you build and iterate. So let's say you find that let's say if you change like a copy on a landing page, for example, let's say you use Pigeon. Let me use this example. Let's say you've been writing the landing page in English, for example, and you find data that's writing the copy in a more localized language like Pidgin is going to convert better. So you're essentially just shipping that updates to your existing workflow. So that's you implementing new, let's say you already have like a workflow like shipping landing pages and you find that changing like language is going to improve like the conversion. So from version 1, you ship like new language copy, that's version 2. So that's essentially like iterating and deploying. Does that explain it better? Yeah. So let me just proceed so we don't spend too much time. I mean, we still have a lot to cover. So what are the skill sets that apply to GTM engineering? So the first thing is systems thinking. So you need to think in systems. You need to think in big picture. You need to think about you need to map everything out, which is one of the things that you do as a GTM engineer. Before you build anything, ideally, what you do is you map out the entire system end to end. So you use a tool like Milo, use tools like Draw to map out your entire system. So some of us have studied computer science in school, or if you did any form of computer study, so there's like flow charts. So kind of like the way you draw your flow charts, you know, where you get to like the parts where you make decisions, you branch out and all of that. So you map that in end to end. So that also makes you see edge cases that you didn't cover. That way you're able to like troubleshoot even before going into like building anything. So another major skill set that applies is you need to be able to learn things really fast. When last year, some of the tools that didn't exist last year, they now exist. For example, is Cloud Code. This time last year, Cloud Code didn't exist, but I mean, Cloud Code is like, when you look at like the landscape, Cloud is probably like top 3. So it means that you should be able to pick up new tools really fast. You need to be like a fast learner. So someone that can, over a weekend, you're able to like pick up new things. So another major aspect is being able to understand customers. Understanding, and this is like very important, the very basics of go-to-market itself, you need to be really good at it. So you need to understand what ICPs. You should be able to break down ICPs. You should be able to break down what's the demography. You need to break down what are their pain points. Those kind of things, you need it. Because if you don't know who you're selling to, there's no way you're going to build any form of system that can accelerate like the revenue generating process. So copywriting is very important. You need to understand copywriting. Even if you can't write like copy, you need to know what great copy looks like. So when you're leveraging, like I mentioned earlier, GTM engineering is leveraging AI tools and automation to do whatever you do normally. So say you're going to be leveraging tools like Claude, for example, write like your copy. You need to know what great copy looks like so that you're able to train the LLM on what the output should look like. So copywriting is a very important skill that you need. So for like the customer, someone said I should go back on customer. So essentially it's just understanding customer. So you need to understand what makes your target audience tick. So say for example, you're selling, let's say you're working on a product, a payroll product. You need to understand who are the people that are going to use it, that are going to need a payroll product. So it means that if you are targeting any company that has like staff, will probably need like a payroll product. But you now need to be able to drill down for that to say, okay, who are the people that are going to use it, that are going to need a payroll product. So it means that if you are targeting any company that has like staff, will probably need like a payroll product. But you now need to drill, be able to drill down for that to say, okay, which markets, which segments of the markets do I want to go after? Do I want to go after SMBs, very like small businesses? Do I want to go after the mid markets customers, or do I want to go after enterprise level customers? So okay, so yeah, definitely the slides are going to be shared. So so you need to understand enterprise customers. What are their traits? What does the buying decision process looks like? How many people are involved in the buying process for an enterprise level customer? So that's what I mean by understanding customers. So you need to be able to have that level, and that's all of that parts. I think they tie more to like the strategy side of things. So which is why as a GTM engineer, you need to be great at both strategy and technical execution. So I'll just go back to like technical side of things. So technical minded, major skill sets. So um, you need to be very comfortable with doing a lot of technical things. Because to be honest, you are going to be doing some technical work as a GTM engineer. So it means that you probably be working with things like code. So essentially, you necessarily don't need to write code, because I mean the LLMs are going to help you with that, which, like I said earlier on, is like fundamental of GTM engineering. So you need to understand basics of some basic things. Say for example, right now you need to understand simple things like, say, gates, the gate system. You need to understand what languages exist for like writing code, for example, because there are some use cases where you need these things. You need to be able to pick up skills or tools where you might need to write some code. Like I said, still leveraging like AI tools to do this thing. So, but you need to be able, comfortable being technical. So let's proceed. So um, in my experience so far, I've seen three types of GTM engineers. And just, I mean, I've worked with like a couple of GTM engineers so far in my career also too. So, and these are like the three like recurring patterns I see. So, the first one being like the true software engineer. I've seen like GTM engineers that come from software engineering background. So, what that means is they are comfortable working with like are really comfortable like writing code to even build like architects like GTM systems, data pipelines. I've seen there are people like that, deeply technical. So the technical side of like GTM, they're able to like execute on it. So instances where for example, I'll use like a no low code tool. They are probably like writing like the code from scratch. So and we have like the systems person. These are like the guys that come from like the marketing ops, web ops background. So they already like operate like the GTM tech stack. So they just kind of like really move into the GTM engineering side of things, where it just goes beyond just like aligning like the teams, and just essentially like operationalizing that data to also like execute and also like build pipelines. So and there's like the marketing and sales people turn GTM engineer. So I think for me personally, this is like the buckets where I fall, and I've seen a lot of people also like fall into this bucket. So where you come from like a marketing background, so you already, I'm the strategy side of things, because ideally as a marketing or salesperson, so ICPs, buyer persona, all of those things are things that you definitely should already understand. So you're just probably like layering it with like technical skills to just become like really good as a GTM engineer. So in my experience, those are kind of like the people. So GTM engineer, GTM engineers typically come from different background, not just marketing. So where does GTM engineering sit in like the organization charts? So in my experience and what I've seen across like multiple companies, so GTM engineers typically sit at the intersection of marketing, sales, web ops, and in some instances like engineering, because what you are essentially doing is you're operationalizing what these different things give you to execute like revenue generating systems. So and that can be anything. I'll get there when I go deep into like the use cases. So yeah, but what typically happens is some teams have like dedicated GTM ops team where the GTM engineers just sit. But in some instances, what some companies do is they embed like a GTM engineer into like specific teams, and so that GTM engineer is just kind of like working within that particular team and executing what they need to do. So it could be marketing, for example. So a GTM engineer can be embedded into a marketing team, and what that means is they're identifying processes that could be automated. So say the process of, I think back then, a couple of years ago when I used to do SEO like a lot, it was a task that I do that can be very like can be very, very stressful, but simple to do is like writing alt text for images. So for the SEO guys in the room, one of the things you need to do is you need to give all your images like proper alt text. So imagine 5 years, 6 years ago, you needed to do all of that manually. So, but say GTM engineer is embedded into like a marketing thing. What it's doing is it's probably going to build a workflow that does that automated, where every image is on the website, the blog, wherever, all of that is contextualized, like alt text is written like for all the images on the website. That's like what the GTM engineer is going to do. It's going to be looking for blockers within like the marketing team. I gave an example of ads. Okay, so someone said, I mean, for most of the use cases that I've seen, the application has been within tech product ecosystem, but definitely not just within tech products. If you work in an FMCG company, for example, FMCG companies, they still run ads. So what you are doing is, for example, I gave the example of creatives. So you want to be able to, let's say your ad is reaching like a fatigue, for example, and you want to like swap out like your creative copy for the ads, or even like you want to change copy. That's something like a GTM engineer can build, and that's like FMCG company industry. So I'll say it does not apply to like tech products ecosystem only. So any company that generates revenue, they can definitely like build revenue generating systems. So yeah, so let me proceed. So where can you apply go-to-market engineering exactly? So there are multiple use cases, but I highlighted some. So I mentioned, so first that you can do is SEO content and social, which is like under marketing. So what you can do if you're embedded into like the marketing team, for example, could be AI content generation. So where GTM engineering can be applied in this context, such that let's say, as a company, you're a B2B SaaS company, for example, you do a lot of middle of funnel content, you do a lot of bottom of funnel content. So, and you want to automate that process. So what you are probably doing is a GTM engineer person can build a workflow or a system such that all the things are necessary. For example, you probably, to produce like a high quality content, you probably need like a citation from like an industry expert. So you've done that already. Maybe imagine the content person has already interviewed, say, let me still go back to like my payroll example. So you've interviewed like an HR payroll expert. So you're piping all of that transcripts into an engine that takes that and writes content based on like that interview. So that's an example of how GTM engineering can be done. Now, what that also means is the company will ideally already have, say, like a let me take this question. So yeah, so it's possible. So I've personally have seen people specialize in a particular field. So a GTM engineer can decide to focus on just building content systems. So systems for like content. So right now they call them content engineer. So you can decide within GTM engineer, I want to specialize as a content engineer. So it means they are building systems to accelerate like the content marketing process, while still matching or even doing better, like doing great quality than what you typically get. So still back to like the example I was talking about. So the content system that you are building, so you are taking into context what is like the bland writing guide. Say for example, the way let me give an example of, still going back to Piggyvest. The way Piggyvest is going to write their content is going to be different from let me think of a B2B company. Spacestack is a B2B company. The way they write their content is going to be different from Piggyvest. So because B2B, B2C, there's like some nuances that's going to be involved. So so all of that, you want to ensure that you're baking your content writing style. You want to bake product marketing. We already have like some product marketing context. Say for example, you're writing something around saving habits guide. You already have like a feature that speaks to like savings, say as Piggyvest, for example. You want to ensure that the workflow also references all of that. So it means that the product marketing person at that particular company is updating that product marketing context in real time. So the workflow is able to pick it in real time also. So that way you're getting like a really finished what's it called? Contents. So one of the things you ensure that you also do is you're also baking in that particular workflow, there's going to be an human in the loop. So what's not going to happen is the content person is probably reviewing the content and still fine-tuning it. So at least it has gotten like the work done, say 80 to 90%. So and you're just doing like final touches. So and which kind of like speeds up the flow of writing content compared to maybe 5 years ago, where you probably the most you can do is ship maybe like 4 high quality content in a month, but you can do more with that, building like really great content systems. So another use case is inbound lead workflow. Say you want to build like a flow that qualifies like an inbound lead. So if you work at a B2B company, for example, you know, one of the things you want to do as a marketing person before like piping like the lead to say sales is you want to ensure that the lead is qualified. So what you want to do is whenever there's like a lead that comes in, maybe signs up on like the form on the website or whatever system you use to like generate leads, in real time the workflow is like qualifying the person. It's pulling like where does this person work, where what do they do at the company, is there like a fit. So you have like a lead scoring system that ensure that you only like assign like you're only like having meetings with leads that are absolutely qualified. So that's somewhere you can apply to system engineering. So there's outbound prospecting. So still back to like question like Abraham shared. So I mean there are a lot of I think right now in the industry, most of the application of go-to-market engineering that I've seen applies mostly to, I'll say like a huge chunk of it is on outbound. So outbound, if you love outbound, and outbound is definitely also like one of the channels that is top of the matrix right now for B2B marketing or B2B generally. So outbound there's a lot of use cases for GTM engineering outbound. So building lists, I mentioned signals earlier on. So you can build list of say you want to build a list of YC companies all time, or you want to build a list of YC companies in the last batch. So let's say those are the people you want to sell your product to. You can do that. You can run sequences that are also like really personalized to these people. You can also do that. You can do like warm account prioritization. Say for example, you want to prioritize YC companies that are following let's say you work at paid HR, for example, a payroll company, and you want to target YC companies that the founder follows, what's it called? Follows Seamless HR. So Seamless HR is a competitor of paid HR. So that can be like your entire approach to reaching out to these people. Because you want to say, oh, congrats on your YC, whatever. Oh, I see you reference like Seamless HR. So that way it shows that, oh, this person has done some form of research. So that's something you can also do. So there's ABM execution. I mentioned signals earlier on, so you can also like apply GTM engineering to like ABM. So ABM means accounts-based marketing. So it's kind of like there's an overlap with outbound, but I mean, for ABM is multi-channel beyond just like one channel. So you build like a really solid list of accounts where you then unify the entire revenue team, sales, marketing, and you just kind of like align them. So these are the companies you want to close over the year, and you stack a lot of signals. You also build that in such a way that it's also updating in real time for each of these companies, and you're able to reach out to them when it's very relevant, because that's like one of the major points. So sales execution. So like I mentioned earlier on, a GTM engineer can be baked into like into sales. So and what you're doing for them, for example, is so for every meeting they're having, so can build a system such that ahead of the meeting, an agent has done like research of the company, has done like prep for everything, and just kind of like does all of that for like the account executive that is going to be taking like the meeting. So he uses like their life, and maybe after like the meeting also, so there's like recap, and maybe it's also sending like follow-up emails to like the person. So something that just uses the life of your account executive, or even like your SDRs, for example. So that they are just focused on selling as opposed to doing some really like repetitive tasks that could be freed up. So yeah. So there's also like the application in account expansion. So if you do a lot of say let's say you already have like existing customers and you want them to upgrade like a tier, so you can build like a system that also like bring all of these signals together to so you're able to like prioritize, and your customer success managers, for example, are on top of it to ensure that you could do XYZ better now that you have like a larger team, for example, or you could do XYZ with this plan. And it's just very relevant because all of the indicators are there. So just to be sure everyone is still following me, please just react. And okay, great. Everyone is still following me. Okay, yeah. So what does the GTM engineering stack, what does it look like? Yeah, so I think one of the things about GTM engineering is you'll be working with a lot of tools. So you're working with a lot of tools. That's part of like the engineering side of everything. So you'll be working with a lot of tools. So, but you are definitely not going to use all the tools because some tools do the same things. So I think one of the major aspects of GTM engineering also is being able to make like great judgments to say, this is the right tool for, because there are so many things you need to put into context. What's the size of the company? What are the numbers? You don't want to be spending $1,000 on a company, $1,000 on a tool that's in a company where they are barely making $100 in a month. So it does not make any sense. So one of the things also is you want to be scrappy as much as possible, still also like invest in tools. So one of the pillar, definitely data management. I think I mentioned it earlier on. Data is one of the major pillars of GTM engineering. So your data and management is super important. So at that you have Clay. Obviously Clay is there. And I think one of the beauty of Clay is within Clay, you get access to over 150 enrichment data points. So it's super important. What that means is you're able to stack signals within Clay, you're able to like build workflows, you're able to do so many things within Clay. Clay is an amazing tool. So I'll say right now, I'll say one of number one tool I operate in almost every day, not even almost every day of the week is Clay, because I'm building all of my workflows in Clay. I'm building inbound workflows, outbound workflows, CRM management workflows, and the likes within like Clay. So and so I'm trying to keep the questions to the Q&A aspect. So I'm sorry if I'm not taking like your live questions right now, or you can just drop it in the chat. So Postpil is also like another data tool. So you can build your lead list. Right now, Postpil shipped like their version 2. So what that means is right now they have like a database you can use to build like lead lists. Say your ICPs are CEOs of seed stage companies in Africa. That's something that those are parameters you can use to build a lead list using a tool like Postpil, not just Postpil, Apollo. So the essence why we have multiple data sources, in some instances, they have better coverage more than the others. So in my experience in the African markets, I've seen that Apollo has like great coverage, like on the African continent. So the idea, especially when you are trying to like maybe get some data, is you stack all of these what's it called, data tools into what we call like a waterfall. So that's something you can build within Clay. So say for example, Apollo can get like the mobile phone number of the CEO, Tony Elumelu, for example. If Apollo fails, move on to Postpil. If Postpil fails, moves to Lead Magic. So you can stack say 10 data providers. So there's that increases like your chances of like getting like data that you need. So Lead Magic is also like that too. How B2B does this, it helps you de-anonymize like your website visitors. So when somebody is visiting, I don't think this is available in the African markets right now. It's primarily in like the US markets. So if someone is visiting your website from say the US, it de-anonymizes that person. So, and what that means is you can engage that person. If that person doesn't sign up to your product, based on that data, you can engage that person using a tool like B2B. So there's Clearbit also. So I think Clearbit is now has been acquired by HubSpot. So yeah, they're also like a good data provider. So you then have like your workflow and automation. So when you want to build like repeatable steps, like I mentioned earlier on, you need like a tool that can make that seamless. So Anything is that tool. So Anything is, I think one of the reasons why I really like Anything is really flexible. You can integrate any tool in the world. You can make two tools speak to each other, provided there is an endpoint or there's some form of API connection that you can get. So API essentially so most products that you see out there, they typically have what they call APIs that makes it easy for you to take action within the product. So say for example, HubSpot. So HubSpot has like API endpoints that you can use to maybe create the content. So say if HubSpot doesn't have like native integration within anything, you can use like their API documentation, integrate it to say your website. So that's something you can do. So make it also like an alternative to Anything. I think what the major difference between Anything Make and Zapier is the fact that Anything is open source. So what that means is you can self-host it on your machine. So without necessarily needing to like pay for anything. So right now I currently have like a self-hosted instance of Anything. So what that means is I hosted it on Google Cloud. So I deployed it on Google Cloud. So it means that all of the workflows are sitting on like the cloud server on Google Cloud. And if you like also you can decide to run it on your local system. So what that means is the moment you close your laptop, your workflows don't run. So yeah, there's that. So but Make and Zapier and they run in the cloud. So and they don't have right now, at least of what I know, they don't offer like open source options. So it means you need to pay their subscription. So and Zapier, I think most people will probably be familiar the most with Zapier. So Zapier has the most native integration. So Zapier is the OG. So before we all started using anything, Zapier has always been the OG for years. So and Zapier is definitely like a great workflow and automation tool. So for your LLMs, so I mean you can't be a GTM engineer if you don't use LLMs. So LLMs are like the core of your operations. So OpenAI, we are all familiar with OpenAI. OpenAI is the parent company of yeah, absolutely, yes. So Yamify is actually great. I mean, Yamify didn't pay us for this plug, but I mean, you guys can check out Yamify. It's an African cloud platform alternative to like Google Cloud, and you guys can check it out to also like self-host your anything instances. So it's quite great. So you also have other options like hosting and any other tool that provides like deployment options, cloud deployments. You can leverage them to deploy your anything instance. So you have DigitalOcean, you have Railway, and the likes to for like the deployments. So back to like the AI I was talking about. So OpenAI has like multiple models. So the GPT models that we are all familiar with, that's like the GPT 5.2, 4 mini, the nano models, all of them you can leverage it depending on your use cases. So there are some tasks that requires some extra level of reasoning. So some tasks that require like multiple steps or are very complex. You probably use like models, the reasoning models. So for very simple tasks, say for example, you have like really bad data. You have like really bad data of company names. Say for example, Piggyverse is not spelled correctly, or Paystack is written as Paystack PLC, and you just want to clean up that list that you have. You can use like a simple model, like say 4.1 mini or 4 mini, very cheap, and it can also like execute a level of task. But the moment you are doing like really complex tasks, you then want to like take it higher. So same way for Claude, you also have like Claude models. So Claude has like the Sonnet models, you have like IQ models. You also have like the Opus. Can you guys hear me clearly? Someone says they can hear me clearly. So you probably want to check others can hear me clearly. Check your mic, check your speaker, or leave and join back. So you have your Gemini models. Gemini models are so great. So in my experience, I'm not loyal to any AI company. Any company that any any model that can serve my use case, I gravitate to them. So, but what I've seen for generating videos, for example, or images, I think Gemini, beats the rest because they have like the nano banana models. So if you do a lot of like visual stuff, generating like images, because I think something I didn't mention earlier was as a GTM engineer, one of the things you can be doing is you can decide you want to be generating AI UGC. I'm an LLM prostitute. So yeah, that's like that's a great term to use. So you can say for generating UGC videos, you want to be using like nano banana models, which are like Gemini models. So you can use it for that. For doing like extra level of coding task, you can decide you want to use Opus 4.6, which is like a cloud model. For simple tasks, you can decide you want to use, or let's say you want to transcribe like audio, for example, you can decide to use OpenAI. So depending on like your use case, just use like the best model. While still also like factoring costs. Costs is also like, because it's very easy for these things to like go crazy, like in terms of like costs, if you're not careful. So you also want to ensure that you're also like optimizing for costs. So for example, now for some tasks, I can decide I want to use like the open source models from OpenAI. So OpenAI has like open source models. You call them the 20B, OSS 20B, and the OSS 120B. So OSS 120B is equivalent to like I think four four mini. I'm not sure, but they operate at that same level of reasoning. So what you can do is also like you can host these open source models. You can host it on your machine, like I mentioned earlier, or you rent like a GPU from places like there's Vast.ai, you can host it there, or you use platforms like Open Router. So there's a platform called Open Router. So think of Open Router. I didn't add it here, but I just remember. So there's Open Router where you can um, kind of think of Open Router as all of your LLMs in one place. So with a subscription and it's credit based, get access to all what's it called? All LLM models in one place within true Open Router. There's another one called Grok, not the Grok on Twitter. So this is GROQ. So you also get access to like multiple open source models there, and they're usually cheaper. So if you're also like factoring costs, you do that. So There are other models, yeah, but these are like the most popular ones. You have models like DeepSeek. You have Meta has like its LLM models, but I mean, I don't think I've seen anyone using Meta models because Meta models can be very dull sometimes. So I don't see anyone using Meta models. So yeah, these are like the most popular models. So for your CRMs, um, you have HubSpot, you have Atio. Atio is like new gen CRM. You have your Salesforce, you have your Pipedrive and the likes. So for engagements, say you want to operationalize sending outreach to people. So there's Lemlist. Lemlist is multi-channel. Multi-channel in the sense that you can engage people via email, LinkedIn. I think they added WhatsApp. Yeah, so there's instantly. You can also do like email, the smart lead. Um, there is also Lagoat machine. So, and for SEO, if you, I think I mentioned something around content engineering earlier on. So, and the company like Power 9, that entire motion is AirOps. So, AirOps is like a great content engineering tool. So, where you can build a workflow to say you're writing like long form content. So, AirOps is like a great tool. So, you have like Ahref. I think most of us probably that do SEO know Ahref. There is Software SEO. I didn't add Software SEO. Software SEO is great. There's also another tool called Octave. Octave is like really great, especially if you do for PMMs in the building. So you probably develop a lot of GTM playbooks in the sense that if you are looking for a platform to codify your messaging so that your content marketing team are not saying like the wrong thing in their contents, or your messaging, your positioning, all of that statement that you typically develop. Octave is that platform where you can codify all of that. And what you can now do is you now sync it to all the tools that you use. You can sync it to like your Clay. You can sync Octave to Clay so that when you're writing like outbound sequences, Octave is doing all of that for you. So then you have like the vibe coding or an IDs that you use to like write code. Want to build internal tools. Because one of the things you'll be doing as a GTM engineer, right, is you'll be building a lot of internal tools for teams. It could be building like dashboards, it could be building like scripts, Python scripts, and you need tools to like execute on this. So most of us probably know Lovable. So Lovable is a cloud-based IDE. So it means that you can leverage it on your cloud, on within your laptop browser to just build like you can build like landing pages. Because personally, I think what I'm saying as an evolution is most people will probably get to a point where a lot of people now even start um, moving from like building their websites on CMS platforms to now even writing it in code. So because it becomes easier for even like a marketing team, because in the past, one of the rationale for using like CMS is, I mean, it makes it easy for a marketing team to say, I want to change the hero text, hero copy on my landing page. I don't want to be speaking to the engineer that is not going to have my time in 2 weeks and say they are working on one sprint. Engineers in the building, I'm dragging you guys, by the way, because you people have let marketers suffer a lot. Let me drag you people small. So now with IDE tools, I don't need an engineer to say, I want to change the whole copy on the landing page. I'm not speaking to the front-end engineers to do that because what I'm doing right now is I'm making that change and I'm sending a pull request. So what I'm just telling the whoever is like the DevOps person or whoever deploys like website, so yeah, merge my pull request. And it's because you already have access to these tools and make it easy. When you just type what you want in natural language and it does like the work for you. So we have Lovable, we have Bolt, we have Replit, we have Windsoft, we have Cursor. So Cursor is more, it's a local ID. You have Cloud Code. So Cloud Code, you embed Cloud Code. You can leverage Cloud Code via your terminal or use it with like an IDE, or you use it via the Cloud Desktop app. So you can write code, you can build scripts. So say, for example, I mentioned earlier that something you could be doing is you want to build a list of YC founders that maybe that graduated from like the last batch. So you can write like a Python scripts within Cloud Code to script YC websites. And if you know YC websites, the directory is not exactly straightforward. So Cloud Code can do all of that for you. So there's Google has like their own IDE, which is a fork of. Interestingly, I didn't put VS Code here, but it's and anti-gravity is a fork of VS Code. So what that essentially means is built on the same infrastructure as VS Code. So what that does is Google lets you use like their models to also like write code. Gemini 3, I think it's Gemini 3 Pro. It's like really great if you do a lot of front end work. Really great at developing, like doing a lot of front end work. Because I mean, it generates like really great UI. When you prompt it really well and you feed it really great like reference. So I think even with like the latest update, I think it's now on 3.1 Pro, if I'm correct. So it generates like really great what's it called, front end. So and you also get access to other models within Google's anti-gravity. You get access to Cloud models. So you can use Cloud for building like your backend. So it's really great. So, and I think why I really like Google anti-gravity, which is what I personally use, by the way. I personally use anti-gravity to build my tools, because I mean I can bake in Cloud into it. I have access to like Cloud code, so I can use it within anti-gravity. I can also use like anti-gravity models also to easily. So so if you already pay for like Google One, for example, if you use like if you also like if your organization already pays for Google Workspace, which a lot of companies already do. So it means that you guys can easily just use Google's anti-gravity without necessarily hitting like rate limits and all of that. So yeah, that's great, because if you are using tools like Cursor, you probably have to pay another subscription. So yeah, so that's that about that. So for version control, so if you guys remember, I was talking about composable like modular workflows. So in some instances, let's say you've shipped like version 1 of your workflow. In some instances where it's like maybe like a landing page or something, for example, you need somewhere to deploy. So deployments you can deploy on, if it's like a full stack app, you can deploy on Railway. Railway is great. So for version control, say you build like a landing page, for example, you want to store version 1, you need someone to do that. And GitHub is like that repository of all your source codes. You're building like Python scripts. You can host them on the source codes on GitHub, so you're able to like push to whatever deployment platform that you use via GitHub. So I think we'll probably get to that point where maybe when you're applying for jobs, specifically as a GTM engineer, maybe one of the things they'll start asking, just like software engineers, they ask you for like your GitHub link or something. So just to see what you've built in the past. So because one thing I'm even saying the more, I mean currently at the company where I work, one of the things we do is we host all, not just code in this context, content, all the content marketing context, ICPs, all our processes, we use them on GitHub. So what that means is the entire team can, at any point, you can clone like the GitHub to like your local machine, and you are able to leverage that when you are writing, maybe you're trying to do like a sequence, for example, and you're able to reference all of that context. Because to be honest, AI, the output of AI or any LLM is heavily dependent on how much context you give it. So that's why a lot of people call it context engineering, not just prompt engineering. Because if you give it like really great context, so say, oh, ICPs are mid-market companies, and you've already codified that into like a folder already, and you're feeding that to like LLM, your outputs are definitely going to be great. So GitHub is like a repository where all of that can be stored as, you can store it as markdown files. So your LLM can like always like reference all of that. So so there's Netlify. You can also like deploy using Netlify static pages. You can deploy it there. There's Vercel also too. You can also deploy it, leveraging like, you can use Vercel to deploy like your apps also too. I guess see with me. I'm tempted to say put some W's in the fucking chat. So sorry for cussing by the way. Um, yeah, it feels like a streamer, like I'm streaming to people. So some W's in chat. Yeah. So this is what it looks like. So before, and this is a couple of years ago, I used to work at a sales consulting company, and this is something that I've seen like in real time. I worked with like salespeople in the past. So and say back then in 2019, the workflow of the SDRs in the company used to be like in the morning, they are going to LinkedIn, they are searching somebody they want to send an email to, they spend some time, they go to Google, they research them so that they're able to like personalize what they're sending to them. Imagine how much work it's going to take to be able to do that for say 30 people in a day. I mean, if you are doing that for 30 people in a day, you spend your entire day and you probably not cover 30 people because you need to check their LinkedIn, see if they have like the right titles, you whether they work at the right company, you want to see if they've posted anything in last 30 days. So that is something that's like very tedious task. But right now you can with the power of like a lot of like AI power tools, like I mentioned, Clay, you can do that at scale, and the quality of the output is going to be like really great. I mean, for example, right now I can decide if I have like a lead list of 100K, 100,000 people, for example, that I'm trying to do a lot of ICP filtering and just like account prioritization and lead prioritization. I can do that easily within less than, let's say within, say 6 hours, for example, to build out that. Compare that to somebody trying to do that manually, trying to do like a lead prioritization and account prioritization for 100,000 leads. It's going to take them forever to do that. And you're not just doing that, you're also you're tracking buying signals. You want to know what tech stack do they use. Has anybody changed? As leadership, have they hired like a new CTO? That's a whole lot of work. But with if you build like a workflow, that's something you can do. And with like say like smartly, you can send like emails. You can also build like an agent on anything, for example, that's handling like the initial responses from these people and maybe even like doing like follow-ups. So in a nutshell, this is me just like painting like a picture of what before and after is going to like when GTM engineering has entered like the chat. So how do you get started? I'm sure this is like a question most people are going to have. So I mean, I've said a lot of things in the past, like over the past couple of minutes. So how do you get started? So number one, so I think this is very important. You want to know like the fundamentals. So ensure that you're really grounded on the fundamentals. You also understand basic things like ICP, positioning, channels, messaging, and these are like the really great fundamentals of GTM. So let's forget even like, oh, what are the tools? If you don't know like the basics of GTM, there's no way you're going to be a great GTM engineer. And I think Trefford has like really great courses, self-paced ones, and live bootcamps that you can definitely use to catch up on that. Because to be honest, I won't say GTM engineering is not exactly an entry level role, in the sense that if you don't have any experience, you might not be able to execute at the level that you should be executing. Or I mean, you can get started in it, but it means that you need to be able to learn really fast. So like I said, you can always like ramp up the basics, check out like Trefford's websites. They have like really great courses on this. I mean, taught by some of the best in the industry. So what you want to do next is, if you already work in a company, think of what's that repeatable task that you already do weekly that you feel like. I mentioned earlier on the one of like updating alt text. So you can think of it, if you work in sales, it could be lead research. If you work in marketing, um it could be updating like your ads. It could be writing content, whatever it is. Just think of like that repeatable task that you do, and think what you now want to do is that's exactly where you now want to be like an automation. So when you identify like that bottleneck, for example, then you want to research what's like the perfect tool that's also going to be applicable for like this particular context. So it could be Clay, it could be anything, it could be Cloud Code, it could be whatever to do your research. So what you also want to do is, while you're also trying to do that, study JDs. And I think that from the years, that's whenever I want to upskill and ensure I'm not just upskilling into not just any tools. I want to check out tools that are actually in demand. So I go to job boards. I study what kind of tools are people that are repetitive, that people keep asking. Right now, Clay is definitely one of, when you check like when you do like an analysis, Clay is definitely up there. So you definitely want to learn Clay. So what you want to do is build that system to that particular repeatable task using like the stack you've done. So ship it, ship that particular automation. I think it's really great because if you already work in a company, you already have like actual data that you can do. This can be like your side project to what you already do. So ship it, documents what you've done, see how much time saving, how did it save your time, what were like the results. So what you also want to do is, one thing I also like to do is when you build these things, it does not have to be perfect. You can talk about these things. You can share on LinkedIn. You can share on Twitter. Do like a Loom video. I think early on, that was one of the things I was like really doing. Whenever I build something, I make a video. I post on LinkedIn. People give feedback. I mean, I also like connect with people that also like in the space. So, and all of everything you're also building also comes together into like a portfolio. Because one of the things when you jump into like interviews, and I mean, over the past couple year, over the past year, I mean, I've spoken to like recruiters. I mean, I've gotten hired for multiple GTM engineering roles, and what most people are going to ask is, "What have you built?" Most people will, before they even ask for like your experience, because it's still relatively like a new role. So most people ask, "What have you built?" Unless it's maybe like a very senior leadership role. That's when they want to see like your years of experience. But for like something not too like very senior, they ask, "What have you built? What were the results? What were you able to like achieve?" So that's why I mentioned take screenshots, record a little, like a case study. So we also join communities. Communities is also like very important. GTM engineering is a role, is a field that is evolving every day. Like every day there's a new thing, there's something happening, and you want to ensure that like you're in the middle of the conversation. So connect with the right people, join communities. Some of the great communities you could join. So Clay as a community on Slack, helps as like a community. There's a community called GTM Cafe. There are a number of these communities. So just join. And most of the jobs that you even see out there, they mostly drop them in these communities. All of the GTM engineering roles have, I'll say like maybe like 80% of them, they've come from like communities. So those are like great places you want to be. And LinkedIn also ensures that you also like, you're talking about these things on your LinkedIn, because most of the inbound opportunities that you get, they also come from LinkedIn. So, and don't just wait for like a new role, like I mentioned already. Apply it in your current role. If you're a content marketing person, think of what's it called. So and another community you should actually join, and I think I should definitely plug that, because I mean, I'm a huge community member. Yes, we have a Clay Club Lagos. We have a community in Lagos called Clay Club Lagos. So and every quarter, and we've been consistent since last year. Every quarter we have like a physical meetup. I can see my people from like the Clay Club Lagos community here. There are a number of them here, and we meet in real life. So we touch grass in real life. We build workflows in real life. We connect in person. Yeah, we touch grass in real life. So people, and one is definitely going to be happening in March. Yeah, this coming March. So you should also definitely join the community. We have the community on WhatsApp. People ask questions daily there. People answer. I mean, some of the top guys in GTM engineering in Nigeria, you definitely find them there. So that's another major community you should join. Because if you are an absolute beginner, or even if you are a mid-level senior GTM engineer, you definitely like learn there. So yeah, shout out to Samuel. Samuel has plugged like the community already. Super great community to join. So yes, so when you're ready, if you feel like you want to go into it definitely full time. Like I said, job boards, communities, code outreach, let your portfolio do the talking. So yes, so there are a couple of resources to learn. So if you are the kind of person that likes like self-paced learning, Clay University is a great one. It helps as like an academy, where you can also check out. Those are like the links on like the on the screen. So there's like the GTM engineer Substack. Yeah, you can also definitely check that out. And I mean the biggest one, University of YouTube. So anything you want to learn in the world, you can definitely learn on YouTube. You can put together. There is, for example, Nate's hack. I'll say for me personally, I practically learned anything from this guy's YouTube. So that's like definitely a YouTube channel you don't want to sleep on. So you guys definitely check that out. So some of the guys you should definitely follow also to in this space. So and these are guys that I directly learned from. Some of them I directly learned from. Some I consumed like their contents. So Dan also like I think what I really like Dan's content is it touches like multiple pillars beyond just like outbound. So it touches ABM workflows, content workflows. So and he runs like a company workflows of the area. So you should definitely check him out. They post a lot of playbooks if you check out like their websites. So those are like really great place to learn. Matthew is like Matthew is the founder of the GTM engineering school. So I attended. So I'll say Matthew is kind of like a mentor to me. And why I also like his content is he focuses more on the inbound side of things. So content, LinkedIn, PMM is also like a really great PMM, and he architects like a lot of workflows for like product marketing, content marketing, and the likes. So and he posted about it on his LinkedIn. You can also check out like his Substack, and you can also just check him out, connect with him. Really great person to follow. Joey is also like another really great person I like following and consuming his content. Why I really like his content is he goes deeper. He has like a lot of technical depth in the sense that if you're the kind of person that you like just building and breaking things, Joey is the person to follow. He posts a lot of like content on Cloud Code. So if you check out like his YouTube channel, it's like he has like a dedicated playlist for Cloud Code for GTM, so you can check that out for GTM use cases. You can check out Eric Noslowski. Eric was one of my teachers at the GTM engineering school. Really solid guy. You can also learn from his YouTube channel also too. He has like, he's one of those guys that shares. These guys don't gatekeep. So you can, his YouTube channel is even a great place to start from if you want to learn GTM engineering. And he also like does a lot of, he's really good with strategy also too. And he talks about like technical execution from a non-technical person's point of view. So yeah, Jordan Crawford, also like really great guy. Super great person to also like follow also too. Is one of the top voices in GTM engineering. There's Marja also too. Marja is really great. She runs like a newsletter, Substack newsletter called Go-to-Market Strategies, and she posts like really great content that you can learn. There's Kai Poya also too. He runs like a really great newsletter you can check out. There's Market One, Emily Kramer or Emily Kramer, Emily, her name is pronounced. So you can also check her out. I think if you really want to get grounded in like the basics of just B2B marketing or GTM generally, a Substack newsletter is like really great. She has a lot of playbooks also too you can get access to. Especially when you're on like the paid version of a Substack. So you get tons of resources. If you work at a B2B company, definitely want to check that out. There's Patrick Spychalski. Also, it's a really great guy. Was one of the teachers at the GTM engineering school. So these are like the earliest GTM engineers. if you think about like V1 GTM engineers, these are like the guys, Patrick Spachowski. Well, he used to be like, used to work at Clay before he started like his agency. And his agency recently got acquired. So really great guys also like check out also too. So yeah, I think an interesting segment of this session I've talked about is so we are not doing not all talks. We are also like because personally I like to show, not just tell. So what I'll try to do is I'll build just a simple workflow just to show you guys what's possible. So let's build something. So what are we building exactly? So what I'm going to be building anything, I'll be building a simple reply agent. So what the agent is going to do is whenever there's a new email in my inbox. So what the inbox does is replies automatically for me. So let's go straight to that. So after that, we go into Q&A. So just to be sure, are you guys still following me? You can just react or do something. Saying, okay, great. So let me jump straight into anything. So this is anything's landing page. So you can see flexible AI workflows for workflow automation for technical and non-technical teams. Because I mean, with non-technical people, we also use anything. So let me add that line for them in the IO copy. Okay, so this is my anything cloud. This is my anything cloud instance. So this is where I just built some workflows. For practice. So I'm going to be creating like a new workflow here. So I'll just click on create workflow. So what I'll do is so to also like make this really fast, because I mean we have like less than 10 minutes to go. So I'm not going to be doing, I mentioned earlier on that what you want to do is you want to map out the entire system. You want to do that maybe Miloboard or Excalibur. I don't think I'll be doing that for this session, so I don't spend too much time. So what I'll just do also is, and I mentioned earlier on, where you can use AI, use it. Don't bother yourself trying to do things from scratch. Use it to speed up your thing. So anything I have like a build with AI option. So what I'll do is I'll build this for the sake of this session. I'll build it with AI. But I mean, it's great to also understand anything at the fundamental level, understand what nodes exist and all of that. So I'll click on build with AI. So I'll just essentially just prompt it on what to do. So let me prompt it. So and a tool I like to use for my voice text or speech text is a tool called Whisper Flow. So you guys can also like check it out. It's really great for speech to text. So I'm just going to dictate what I want to build here. And just also like mention, you can approach building anything workflows from anyhow you want to think about it. You can use Cloud Code to build anything workflows. You can build it from scratch. You can use native build with AI in anything. So yeah. Okay, my whisper flow was off. So let me put it on. I want to build a simple workflow. So what's the workflow essentially do is whenever I get new emails within my Gmail inbox, I need an agent to write a response and send it back. Yep, so you got that. So let's click on this and it's just going to do the work for us. Okay, I think while the agent is working, you guys can drop your questions so I can answer them. I can answer them. You can drop it in the chat. Okay, yeah. So the agent is done building. Yeah. So it's almost done building. Okay, great. So what we are doing now at this point is essentially we are just configuring like the nodes. So for this first node here, so we can see it says when the email is received. So my Gmail account is already connected within this event instance. So ideally, what you want to do is you come here, so you can connect like your Gmail account here. So depending on the instance that you are using, if you are using like a self-hosted instance, you probably have to do some connection via like Google Cloud. So what for like the for this cloud instance, you can really just sign in with the WAT option. So like I mentioned already, um, yes, so it's already connected for me. So so what this is going to do is for every minute, this is going to be checking my inbox to see if there's like a new message. So on the events trigger is whenever a new message is received, this is going to fire. So I don't want it to be simplified. I can click that. So what I'll do is let me fetch a test event from my inbox. So yes, it has fetched one for me. So let me see what that looks like. Okay, yes. So what it did was it fetched like the most recent, it fetched the most recent email that I got. So let's do that. So what we are going to do is we are going to map it to the next node. So we can drag it here. So what we do is look for the actual email. So this is the email body. So I can drag that here. So, and we can actually preview it. So it's showing this as an HTML body. So so let's move to like the next node. We can fire this node. So what that does is, so we need to map. So what the agent already did for us was he also already like wrote the prompts. So depending on like on your use case, you probably might want to give the prompts more context. Maybe imagine you're building this for like your team. Maybe you want to, there's a particular way you guys respond, let's say customer support. You can give all of that context. But for the sake of this session, we just use like these really simple prompts that the agent already gave us. So, and it says, read the incoming email, draft a thoughtful response, use the Gmail send to send a reply to the original sender. So, match the tone. And you also say, always use the Gmail send to. So, that prompt is not bad. So, yeah. So let's look at this. It's also, what he also did was he also mapped the subject of the email for us here. So we need to map the body of the email. So let's try to do that also too. Because it's showing red, so it means that it's probably properly not picking it up. So so we've properly mapped it now. So let's see. Let's map the form. Yes. So we mapped who the email came from. So this is, just think of this as like the input for the AI agents to use in processing like the response. So here is the subject of the email. So the email says partner with us on our AI products launch. So the body of the email says, hi Balaji, I hope you're doing well. We are launching our AI products, blah, blah, blah. We are looking to collaborate with you. So this is like the test events that we do. So another important part of this is it connected like a model. I mentioned earlier on that you can use multiple models depending on like your use case to build workflows, AI agents, or the likes. So in this context, it connected a Anthropic charts model. So that's like the cloud models. So well, I don't think I have a cloud credential. So what I'm going to do is I'll delete this and let me delete this. Then I'll swap this for OpenAI models. So you can see like the multiple models are here. So you can use Google Gemini. Gemini has like free models that you can use for like your practice. So you can see that the grok models I talked about earlier on. This is Open Router. So I'll connect OpenAI for the sake of like this call. I think I have some credits there that I can use. Yeah. So let's run this. Yep. So this has executed already. So you see it, I've sent, it says I've sent a response already to Juicebox. So this is how the workflow is going to work. So whenever there's like a new email, it's going to just, what's it called? It's just going to create. So maybe something else I can probably do is if I want to add like an human in the loop in this particular process, I can delete this and maybe now add it as a step in the workflow as opposed to like a tool. Or if I want it to be very non-deterministic, where the agent is like taking like the action, I can leave it this way. So let's see. It says it has sent like the response. Let me see if he actually did. Yep. Can you see? Can you guys see this? Let me know if you guys can see this. Yep. So it says, yeah. So I can definitely turn this off within anything easily. So this is the actual email that came in. So it says, "Hi Bolaji, hope you are, like I mentioned earlier on, we are looking to launch our products. I'm going to do this." So and he sends like a response. So I for me, thank you for reaching out and considering me for your. I'm interested about learning more, blah blah blah. Please do send over the product overview and my any other. Look, I mean, I don't think this is bad. This is like really great. So I mean, and this is something we did in less than 10 minutes. So obviously, what I can do here is I can come back here. I can come into like this tool. So I can come here and say append anything attribution. Then I turn this off. So turning this off means that subsequently for every response that it's going to be sending, it's not going to add this. So it's going to feel like it came directly from me, whereas the agent is doing like the work for me. So, and something else I can probably do, so I can save this. Yeah, I can save this. So something I can definitely do is if I want to feed this with a lot of context, I can connect like a knowledge base. Say for example, I'm building like a customer support agent. I can feed it with all the knowledge that the agent should have, so it knows how best to respond to messages. And if I also add an human in the loop process, such that before it sends out any response, I'm reviewing. I can also do that within like this workflow also too. So, and now that I already have like this simple workflow to take it live, all I'm just doing is I'm clicking here and it goes live. So it means that for every new email that comes in, this agent is going to be responding for me. And voila, we are done. Yes, I guess we just get to like the questions part, the Q&A part of the session. Yes, so if anyone has any question, we have, I think the time is almost up, so I guess we just take like a really few questions and wrap up like this session.
Okay, thank you so much, Bolaji. We have some questions in the chat box already.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody's asking, what's the most ideal channel for client acquisition and how do you position yourself for these opportunities?
Okay, so I would say for every business context, acquisition channels is definitely going to differ. So there's a lot of context that needs to go before like picking like your customer acquisition channels. Because if you're like a B2B company now, depending on the kind of products that you sell, you might want to prioritize like it could be events, it could be webinars, it could be SEO, it could be outbound. So I'll say for this, depending on like your products, you want to do like an analysis. think about where do my customers hang out. So, for example, B2B companies now, you know that a lot of your customers, they'll definitely be attending like industry events. So events like a great channel. If you are running like if it's a B2C company, for example, you know that social, you definitely don't want to sleep on social. So organic social, paid social, you definitely want to sleep on that also too. So yeah, I'll say it depends on like your business. So he said, how do you position yourself for these opportunities? I talked about it earlier. Um, Start posting what you're learning about it. Start posting about what you're learning in real time. Post it on LinkedIn. Share like workflow breakdowns. You'll be surprised. You're not getting 10 likes. You're probably getting max of 10 likes, but you'll be shocked at the number of people that are seeing like your posts. So show up daily, attend industry events. I mean, personally now, I mean, there are people who have, I get a lot of inbound roles. That's, I mean, obviously, how many roles can I do at the time? So what happens is I also refer people to these roles. But obviously, if I can refer someone to a role, I have to be pretty sure you're very solid. You're very, very solid. So join communities. If you join like the Clay community, for example, um, almost every day people share rule. There's always like a new rule. Now you can join like the play community. Almost every day people are hiring for like GTM engineers on in the community. So yeah, build a good portfolio, talk about what you're learning, build in the public, don't build in silence. If you build a new work, use a new workflow, talk about it on LinkedIn, talk about it on Twitter, post like video walkthroughs, show your face, let us see. Someone said, what will a good portfolio look like for one just getting? Okay, so for that, a portfolio, you definitely want to for my portfolio that's helped me in getting jobs, I structured it this way. I have like a section that's more or less like the way you have like professional summary. I have that. I have like what my tech stack looks like. I listed the tech stack I work with. So I definitely listed like Clay, the likes. I also listed like my skill sets. I did this on Notion, by the way. Maybe one of these days I might actually like turn it into an actual website. So I also have a section dedicated to past projects. So projects that I've built in the past. I picked, I think like 5 of them. So what I also tried to do was I also like cascaded it into multiple pillars. So I have some projects that are built in Clay, built in anything, all of these tools. And I did like kind of like a case study. So there was like a video breakdown in there. There was like a what was the job to be done, what were the results. So if it was like a campaign, what were the results of the campaign? How did it affect pipeline? How did he move the needle? I talked about that. So then I think additionally I did like other resources to obviously like my socials, LinkedIn. I have like a YouTube channel, so I link that also. So this is not like compulsory for everyone, by the way. Not everyone will have like a YouTube channel. So I also added, because I also have like a certificate from GTM engineering school. I also added that. But I mean certificates like are not essentially like a key to landing jobs. So I mean attending boot camps are just like a way to upskill. At the end of the day, what really matters is what can you do? Um, how well can you execute? So yeah, I think those are like the top pillars of like your portfolio that you want to ensure. Because at the end of the day, when you're applying to jobs, portfolios like are super important. So talk about the things you've done. Case studies particularly very important. Um, okay, I think the slides are going to be shared. So by the way, I built this slide. This slide is an HTML document, not an actual PowerPoint or PDF. If you guys can see my address bar, I coded these slides in Cloud Code. So yeah, so that's like a use case for GTM engineering, for example. So I didn't use shout out to the Tredford team. So like a they gave me like slides guide which included like fonts, colors and all of that. So I just kind of like prompted that as context my engine. So I mean, it made sense. It's a class on GTM engineering, so it made sense to use apply GTM engineering skill to okay. So maybe what I'll do is I'll probably maybe create templatize my portfolio and maybe share that. I'll probably share that on maybe LinkedIn so everybody can duplicate. You can do it's a Notion page, so you can duplicate that and use that for your portfolio. I'll probably do that. Um, at the moment, maybe not. Or I think GitHub has like GitHub pages. So yeah, you can definitely post your portfolio on GitHub pages, which is like more or less like a landing page people can access. So yeah, GitHub is great. So I mean, there's no perfect tool for building portfolios. What matters is what's the contents of your portfolio. So you can decide to build your portfolio with Lovable and build it with Google Docs. It could be even Google Drive. So, or I mean, Google Drive might not be the best fit. It could be Google Docs, for example. Your portfolio can be on Google Docs. Depends on how well you structure it. Notion 2 is great. Yeah, any tool that works best for you, you can use it for your portfolio. So, okay, tech events. You say you're in Ibadan. I mean, Ibadan is like 1 hour from Lagos. So you can always attend events in Lagos. Just catch the train. Whenever I want to go to Ibadan too, I also catch the train to Ibadan. So that's not a barrier. You're not living in Sokoto where you have to spend 5 hours or more than 6 hours on the road. More than 10 hours actually. So Ibadan is pretty close to Lagos. So I mean, there are people that attend Clay Club. In the Clay Club Lagos, we have somebody that comes all the way from Benin Republic. Yeah, that's from another country entirely to attend the Clay Club Lagos. So, and it's always been consistent. So if you guys know the Clay Club guys on this call probably know Mr. Dai. So Mr. Dai he's not a Nigerian, he's French. So he comes to Nigeria specifically for the event. So if you're in Ibadan, so that's not an excuse. You can always attend the events in Lagos. So trying to see if there's any question here that I'm here to.
Yes, we have a couple of questions. Somebody just dropped. Can one use GTM engineering for a marketing agency? And what to recommend?
Yes, absolutely. I'll say one of the companies I consulted for was actually a marketing agency. So if you guys know, since there are a lot of marketing people here, so you probably know Dynasty Africa. Dynasty Africa is a marketing agency. So Dynasty Africa, I and my partner, we led GTM engineering for the company, and we generated like lots of sales qualified leads for the team. So and it was primarily outbound channel that we leveraged. So when you think about your stack for GTM engineering for a marketing agency like Dynasty Africa that I mentioned, you probably the stack that we used, Clay, OpenAI. So yeah, like an API key from OpenAI. Used Smart Lead for engagements. So we also have like anything for some workflows that we needed to build for like the old GTM system. So you definitely want to, unless you are very rich and you're able to pay for like high Clay plans, you definitely want to buy like API keys you want to pay for like maybe like Lead Magic or use like Apollo. Apollo works well. Apollo, you get great data with Apollo. So off the top of my head, these are like some of the stack that we use for building the GTM system for a marketing agency like Dynasty Africa. Yeah, I mean, there's no way I can mention on the stack in that source. I just mentioned the top ones. So, I mean, when you think about your stack could be anything that helps you get the job done. You can definitely use Notion for if you do like a lot of you want to be like content workflows, you want to, where you want to be architecting like maybe like your drafts, or where your CMS is going to be picking like content for, Notion can definitely be that place. And Notion has an MCP, and I think that's really great, because what that means is if you are using like Cloud Code, you can connect Cloud Code to the Notion MCP. So personally now, I think these days, I hardly build anything, I hardly type anything in Notion. I just prompt Cloud Code, I've connected the Notion MCP, and it builds out like the database for me. It can build like pages in Notion for me. So yeah, definitely Notion is really really great platform. And Notion is multi-purpose. You can morph Notion in whatever you want, into whatever you want. So yeah, Notion is great. Is there any other question, Victoria, that I'm here to answer? You can just point into it.
Okay, so I think most of the questions you've treated them. I think there was something about content marketing or someone that's coming from content writing.
Yeah.
And you did mention that. Okay. Hi, Temi.
Hi, hi Bolaji. Good afternoon. Yeah, since you mentioned the whole outbound GTM thing, I figured I'd just ask for other channels like ads. It's kind of like you just set up your creative, set up all of that, and like have it running. But outbound is one where you have to actually like build the list. I wanted to ask how you go about iterating on the list, because if you start off with one particular ICP and then you have the messaging for that one, is it like you just pick the one that you feel like is the highest, like has the highest probability of working out, and how do you iterate from that to like building other lists and basically iterating on the strategy from there on?
That's a really good question. So the way I would think about it is, if you want to do outbound, you want to think about it. So I like to think about outbound starting from the what I call the modern intent signals. So what you want to do is, depending on like your ICPs, you want to, I think first of all, you can start from like your ICP, because for a company or a product, you can have multiple ICPs. So it could be industries, for example. It could be you're going after multiple industries. It could be fintechs. It could be AI companies that are not necessarily fintechs. So you can define it that way. You can now layer on that industry, and within those industries, you've already identified like who are the targets audience, the buyer personas. So it could be CTOs, it could be CEO, depending on the kind of product. So what you now want to do is you now want to layer on that particular list. You now want to identify what exactly is going to be my modern intent signals. So let me go back to my example of a payroll software. So if I was working at a payroll company, for example, HR payroll company, my modern intent signal could be new head of HRs. So it could be fintech companies that just hired new head of HRs. So what I'm going to do is I'll go into a tool like Apollo, and I'll first of all I'll map out my total addressable market. So my total addressable market, if it's a Pan-African software that sells to say Lagos, Kenya, that's Nairobi, South Africa, the hotspots in Africa. So all of those companies, I'll build out all the lists. So what I then now want to do is I then now want to look for all the head of HRs within these companies. So what I then want to do is I want to look for all the head of HRs that just joined the company in the last 3 months. So I'm going to build that list and say a tool like Apollo or Prospio or whatever tool you like using to build your list. So Apollo and Prospio are great options. You can definitely use Apollo for this. So what I then want to do is when I do all of that, I'm piping that data into my enrichment tool. It could be a tool like definitely going to be Clay, or where I then now like operationalize like the list I've built. So what I'm going to do next is I'm also going to look for complementary signals that I can use to drive home my modern intent. The modern intent here is new head of HRs at fintech companies, because I'm trying to sell a payroll software to them. So you just joined this company. One of the ways you can make an impact is this. Because one of the things some people do when they join new companies, for example, they try to like study the process, and where they find leakages, they improve that. And one of the things that falls under the purview of an head of HR, and not just head of HR, you can include it. It could be C-level, chief operating officer. You can cascade that because it falls under their purview. So what you then want to do is you now want to look for complementary signals also too. For an HR payroll software, another signal that is going to be complementary could be, are they currently hiring new people? So you then want to look for that. So it means you're scraping the web. You're probably like building agents that's going to scrape the web to see if they're hiring new people. So that you can also like reference that to say, oh, in like your copy to say, I noticed that you're also like, you're currently hiring a product marketing person. I think I saw that, what's it called? Someone dropped like a company is hiring somebody in the chat. I think Base Technologies. So that's something you can reference to say, oh, I noticed you're hiring like a product marketing manager at Base Technologies. And you can do that at scale. So that's like a complementary signals. You can stack up another signal to say, oh, are they responding? So that's what you do. So what that means is for that particular workflow, which I just described just now, what that means is when you build out this workflow for this month and you run like the campaign, let's say you get at the end of like the whole entire end-to-end workflow, you probably got like 500 leads. And the beauty about approaching it this way is your copy is not going to be spray and pray when you approach it this way. You're going to speak to like their pain points. Because obviously the person is going to know, oh, I actually just started like an head of HR in this company. Oh, yes, we're actually hiring people. And that means more head counts. It means you need a software that can handle payroll, especially if it's now a company that has employees across multiple countries. Because all that means is it's a big headache managing payroll for multiple companies, because one is earning Naira, one is earning rands, for example. So, and your software can solve that problem. So what you want to do is for month 1, you can build that workflow. For month 2, you can see iterate that same workflow, because what it means is that within the space of 1 month, there would have been new, new head of HRs that probably just joined the company. So it means that same workflow, which was what I made reference to at the beginning of the session of building modular workflows that you can always reuse. So what it means is that just feeding new lists, or you probably just, what you do, you can automate it and make sure that the signal is always on. You can automate signals in Clay. So whenever a new HR, head of HR, VP of HR, whatever the title might be, maybe from head of HR to C-level, whenever there's a new person, that workflow automates. So they enter the workflow, qualifies them, then sending like an automated email to them via like your sequencing tool. Could be Smart Lead, could be instantly, whatever your choice is. I don't know if that's clear. And that's one workflow. So what you can now do is you can build up to 8 workflows that's going after multiple intents or different approaches. So another approach for the same payroll company could be the model intent signal is companies that currently have active head counts in multiple countries. So you're looking for companies that already have existing employees across Kenya, Nigeria, and all of that. And that's your model signal, and you cascade it. The same people that fell into the bucket of new head of HR are going to be different from the ones that fell into the bucket of active head counts in multiple African countries. I don't know if that really makes sense to you, Amy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think what was on my mind is just the fact that you basically have to be creative and running just multiple campaigns and thinking of different intent signals, layering everything. Because if you have 500 people starting from like 20,000 TAM, then you add all those intent signals, comes down to 500. You're sending like 100 emails per day. After like 5 days, you're done with that, and you now have to like start another one and then constantly just be like adding more. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Oh, yeah. So that was I mentioned that you can't build only one workflow. You have to build multiple so that you can increase your volume. And what you can also do is if you also want to go after volume. But I think a great way to look at it is look at your pipeline. What does like your average contract value look like? Maybe annual contract value or maybe monthly. You can break it down that way. What exactly is the target? So you should be looking at it from the point of view of how many actual customers do I need to hit that. So that way because what happens sometimes is when you do it this way, the messaging you're sending to these people is personalized, is relevant. Your reply rate is going to be higher. So imagine you're getting 15 replies from a list of 500 compared to getting replies of just 5 from a list of 10,000. So you definitely want to consider like a really great in terms of like balance being between mass volume and really small intent-led list, but it's highly personalized. So that way you're not just spamming people and you're ensuring that your messaging is really tailored to people. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Bolaji. Please, can we just have like a digital round of applause to appreciate Bolaji for this session? So just a quick one. I'm going to drop a link in the chat so you can just share your feedback on today's session. So it's nice for us to, know the things that like how this session, the things you've learned and just share your feedback so we can all take some insight from that as well. Thank you so much, Bolaji. Just to answer a few other questions, people are already asking if there are courses for like PMs. So whether that's product managers or product marketers, there are a bunch of courses that we have on our Trefort library. Someone also asked, would there be recordings of this session? So I'm just going to take like a few minutes to answer to all of that. So this is our platform, Trefort.Africa. So if you come here, you're going to see a whole lot. We have a library of courses, so you can scan through. We have like free courses, we have courses for beginners, we have for like intermediate fundamental courses, and the best part is that you can just filter, right? So you just go to the course library and filter at what skill level that you are and what career paths you're trying to build, and then you have access to like all the courses that you want, so from free materials to both paid materials. And another interesting thing I would like to share is the pro version, right? So if you come to the pro version, instead of getting like, so if you're in like the product marketing stack, instead of getting like paying for one course and all of that, you can just subscribe, right, to the platform. So more like for the year, you would save costs that way, and you have access to unlimited courses to that stack that you have. We have like different price tag for that, like standard, premium, or you have a team, or if you're even a founder here, you want your team to be like well vested in like growth strategies and all of that. So we have courses cutting across different non-code stack, so marketing, content marketing, product management, and we're also like upgrading like our stacks as we move on. I think somebody was asking about the community, and someone from the team also dropped that currently right now, if you sign up for the newsletter, which if you come to the website, you can see a place to do that. Sign up for the newsletter, you get all the information and get all the updates about our events on Luma. But I think there's going to be like a WhatsApp community very soon, so that would also be communicated to you. However, this particular course library is something that you're supposed to do like self-paced. But if you want like more in-depth session like what we have here today with Bolaji, in fact, you have a lot of time to ask a lot of questions. I see like a lot of people are asking a lot of questions. We have live sessions, right? We have upcoming live sessions, and I think the time is just right to share about like these upcoming sessions in about a month's time. So today is 28th, so we're starting some sessions March 28th. So we have like life cycle and CRM marketing, we have performance marketing, product management accelerator, product marketing accelerator, technical marketing, technical product marketing. We have I think someone did mention something about like fintech as well. So we have like courses covering like all those other sectors. So fintech product management, data analytics program, UX for fintech and SaaS, and search marketing. So a whole lot of these and other interesting courses. Like I said, if you subscribe to the newsletter, join the Luma community, and hopefully like the WhatsApp link is also created, you have access to all these courses, and you can get started like just right away. You can get started with the free courses right now. There are a whole lot of benefits from just being a part of the Treford learning community. So I don't know if there's someone from the growth team that might want to say something. Hi Esther, I don't know if there's someone from the growth team that has anything to share. Okay, so let me read out okay, please let's not forget to share our feedback. I've dropped the link. Yeah, who's someone saying something? Hi. Okay. So I think someone from the team has dropped something. So anyone who attends this session, right, you can add TLC to how you heard about the program to access 20% scholarship. So that's for our upcoming live session. So you go to the chat box now. You are able to see a link for you to check out those programs. There are also some job opportunities that have been posted here, and you can check it out if it's something that you think you can apply to, and then you send an email to I think the email, just scroll up a little bit at the chat, send an email to harry@treford.africa. I'm just going to drop the link here. So a lot of these are more updates, and this just also like touch base on what Bolaji said, even about like GMT engineering. I feel like it's not like an entry level role, and you can start from like the Treford community to gather all the skills that you need, right, in order for you to be able to launch into all the new paths that are being created in like non-code tech careers, just because of the evolution of AI and other smart technology. So it's actually a good place for you to be a part of the community. Things like job opportunities, things like free webinars, master classes, great paid programs, intensive like self-paced courses that you can take. So just accelerate your career is something that you can really tap into in the Treford learners community, right? I really appreciate your time for being here. I don't know how many of us have dropped our feedback so far for today's session, but on a whole, thank you so much, Bolaji, for your time. I know that out of your busy schedule, you took out the time to take this session, and it was really insightful. I want us to give like a thumbs up, right? If you really found this session insightful, like, yeah, give thumbs up, give all your cheers to Bolaji. I think it's really nice. That's also something I want us to kind of know, something about like the Treford community. We have a lot of testimonials from our past alumni. Most of us are like revolving or rotating around the industry as well, but we have like lead experts from working across different companies coming to share and help you in your no-code tech journey. So I think finally, just to address the questions where people asked about like the recordings of today's session. So if you come back maybe like in a week's time or so, it's going to be updated in the Treford library, so you would have access to that. So that could be either as part of so if you join the pro, so you're gonna see, if you come back here to courses, most of these sessions we had were also like recorded courses, like from master classes like this. So if you come back here, you're going to obviously see this as a part of this, and then you can sign up to join. So later date, not so a later date, you're going to see most today's session being updated in our course library. Please, if you have any questions, well, to reach out on the contact information here on our website. I'm still going to drop a link to our website here in the chat box, so you please just copy it and go through some of the courses and resources that we currently have. You can also send in information. If you have more questions, you can send an email to admission@treford.org. Okay, so I think one thing I want you to take home is that in this entire your career journey, right, Treford is here to support you, whether you're just starting, whether you're a mid-level professional, or you're trying to advance. Treford is actually that community that would be a strong fit for you. We have a lot of upcoming sessions. I think we have other sessions from the upcoming weekends as well, so you can really like join in so that you don't miss out on any of the classes or the sessions that we have. So we've really taken so much of our time. Thank you so much, guys, for staying like up to like an extra 30 minutes. I'll just give a little bit of time for Bolaji to give us like a closing charge. Yeah, because I know some people might just be wondering, how do I, maybe the information is overwhelming, how do I get started and all of that. So I'll just give a few minutes to Bolaji to do that. Hi, Bolaji.
Once again, thanks to everyone that's joining you on this session. Like I mentioned earlier on, I mean, Saturday, most people, especially those that work on sites, for example, you probably had gone to the office all week long. Saturdays for you to just crash. So, and for us, so thank you for joining on this session. And yeah, I know the information can be a lot. So what I'll just say is, I mean, don't mount too much pressure on yourself. Start wherever you can. Like Victoria already mentioned, um, the session is going to be shared like a replay, so you can always watch it all over again at your own pace. A lot of resources were shared, and I talked about a lot of resources. You can get started there, and my LinkedIn DMs always open. So you can, if you do a LinkedIn search, Bolaji Anifoshe, definitely find me. Can send me a message. Happy to answer any question that you might have. Happy to like respond. Yeah. Yeah. Wishing you guys all the best. I mean, AI will not take you people's job. Oh. Somebody say amen. Yeah.
Yes, so thank you so much, Bolaji. I think this is also like a good place to know that AI is not really coming to take our jobs, but like if we can join in, we're definitely going to stay on track and then keep having things to do. Thank you so much from everyone here at Trefort Learning Community. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you guys in our next session. Have a wonderful and great weekend. Thank you, Bolaji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.